Update 2. I walked into my parents' house after my shift to find all my belongings thrown across the front yard. My mom was standing on the porch with a megaphone. "Attention neighbors. We're finally evicting our 28-year-old failure son." My dad was spray painting loser on my boxes while my sister filmed. "This is what happens when you're a disappointment." My brother was posting signs on the lawn. "Free stuff, from a freeloading parasite." Neighbors were coming out to watch. My mom continued on the megaphone. "He owes US $12,000. Hasn't paid rent in 2 years." My dad grabbed my laptop and smashed it on the driveway. "Worthless computer for a worthless person." Mrs. Canderson from next door clapped. "Thank God. That eyesore is finally leaving." My dad threw my TV from the second floor window. It shattered. Everyone cheered. I just smiled and loaded what wasn't destroyed into my car. Before getting in, I turned to face them all. "Two can play this game. Soon, you'll see my revenge." Been working double shifts to build up some cash. My regular gig only had my backup portfolio, so I lost a bunch of my best recent work when Dad smashed my laptop. Luckily, I had most projects backed up to Google Drive, but still lost about 2 months of stuff. Yesterday, something weird happened. I went to file my taxes, late, I know, and the tax prep software flagged something about dependency status. Turns out my parents have been claiming me as a dependent for tax purposes the past 2 years despite charging me rent. That's literally tax fraud. So, I called their accountant, Roger. He's known me since I was a kid and always seemed decent. Said I needed some tax documents that might still be at my parents' house. He sounded uncomfortable when I explained what happened. After some awkward silence, he admitted my parents have been manipulating their finances in creative ways for years. Said he'd been trying to get them to clean things up, but they wouldn't listen. Roger mentioned that Dad opened a credit card in my name 3 years ago when I moved back home. I had no idea about this. Checked my credit report right away. Sure enough, there's a card with a $6,000 balance I never knew existed. That explains why my credit score tanked last year when I tried to get my own apartment. The pieces are starting to fit together now. My parents have been financially exploiting me while simultaneously shaming me publicly for being a burden. The $12,000 they claim I owe probably charges on the fraudulent credit card they opened. And it gets better. Remember how I mentioned Dad's business practices? Well, I ran into my old college friend Tristan yesterday. Complete coincidence. We were both at the same coffee shop. He works for Dad's biggest competitor now. We got to talking and I mentioned the situation. Tristan said, "My dad's company has a reputation for cutting corners and overbilling clients," said they've been trying to get evidence of it for months to warn potential customers. I have years of overheard conversations, emails I was copied on by mistake, and documents I was asked to file away quietly when I helped at the office on weekends. Stuff that would absolutely tank Dad's reputation in the industry. Moms know better. She's been running this whole perfect family image in their social circle while treating me like garbage behind closed doors. Always comparing me to Sawyer or Gabriella, always finding something to criticize. My room was too messy, even when it was clean. My car was an embarrassment, even though it's reliable and paid off. My clothes were sloppy, even when I dressed up. Nothing was ever good enough. It was always about appearances with them. Dad's business success, Mom's charity work, which she hates but does for the status, Sawyer's corporate job, Gabriella's rich husband, and then there's me, the disappointment who dared to follow his own path instead of the one they mapped out. I've started documenting everything. The fraudulent credit card, the tax fraud, the Venmo payments they claim never happened. I've got screenshots of texts where Mom acknowledged receiving my rent. I've got emails where Dad threatened to kick me out if I didn't contribute more. Even while I was already paying rent and helping around the house, called my cell provider yesterday to make sure they can't somehow access my new number. The customer service rep noticed there were 2 additional lines on my account I was paying for. Turns out they added their personal phones to my plan 3 years ago when my student discount made it cheaper. I've been paying for their cell phones this whole time. I'm not just angry anymore. I'm methodical. I'm calculating. Every day I uncover more ways they've been using me while pretending I was the burden. I've got a meeting with a credit agency tomorrow about the fraudulent card, already filed disputes on all the charges. Next step is compiling all the evidence of their tax fraud for a potential whistleblower. Report to the IRS. As for Dad's business, I'm meeting Tristan for lunch next week. He says his boss would be very interested in what I know. They thought they were punishing the family disappointment. They didn't realize they were creating their worst nightmare. Someone with nothing left to lose who knows all their secrets. The best part, they have no idea what's coming. They think I'm just off sulking somewhere, broken and humiliated. But I'm building something much more satisfying than they could imagine. Revenge isn't going to be quick. It's going to be thorough. So, it's been about 3 weeks since the lawn eviction, and things are starting to happen. My hands are literally shaking as I type this update. First off, thank you for all the advice about the IRS whistleblower program. I didn't even know that was a thing until someone mentioned it in the comments. Turns out you can report tax fraud and potentially get a percentage of what they recover. I filed the report last week with all the evidence I had, the Venmo receipts of my rent payments, screenshots of text conversations where they acknowledged the arrangement, and proof they were claiming me as a dependent while collecting rent from me. The day after I submitted everything, I got a call from a blocked number. It was my dad. Somehow, he found out about the credit card disputes I'd filed. He was livid. Started by acting all fake concerned, asking where I was staying and if I was okay. Then switched to threatening me about making false accusations and ruining the family's reputation. I recorded the whole call. My state is one-party consent. When I told him I knew about the card he'd opened in my name, he completely changed tactics, claimed it was just to build my credit and that he was doing me a favor, right? Because maxing out a card I didn't know about and missing payments is super helpful for my credit score. I told him that identity theft and fraud are felonies and he hung up on me. The next day, my mom showed up at my work. No idea how she found out where I was working since I got a new job at a small local place. She caused this whole scene in front of everyone, crying about how worried they've been and how I'm destroying the family with my false accusations. My coworkers were super confused. I took her outside to the parking lot before she could say anything specific. That's when she dropped the act. She hissed at me that I needed to withdraw the credit disputes immediately or they would press charges against me for stealing from them over the years. When I asked what I supposedly stole, she said, food, electricity, water. You think that's all free? I laughed in her face, told her I had receipts for every penny I'd paid them and reminded her about the megaphone show they put on for the neighborhood. She slapped me across the face hard. I didn't hit back, just stepped away, and told her to leave before I called the police. She left, but not before shouting that I'd regret this. Meanwhile, the meeting with Tristan and his boss went even better than expected. I brought all the documentation I had about Dad's business practices. The emails where he discussed overbilling clients, the internal records showing they used cheaper materials than what they charged for. Even the handbook he gave me when I helped in the office that literally had a section about how to upsell unnecessary services. Tristan's boss was shocked at how blatant it all was.